Yo, still Bills, what's the deal, man? We back, man. I'm running hella late. Like, hella late. They about to be mad at me, man. But it is what it is. But peep game, man, I want to talk about something, man. And it's a fight this weekend that I'm real excited to see. And that's Joseph Parker versus Joshua Buatsi, man. I'm actually excited about that fight. Two notable names. You know, Zach Parker hasn't done anything significant. But, you know, he is a notable name, and I think with that injury, after that injury that he caught fighting John Ryder, that did kind of slow his career down. And I fuck with Joshua Buatsi. I think Joshua Buatsi is nice, man. He finally stepped up and fought an official dude, Callum Smith earlier in the year. And I just, that was past due. And even now he's talking about fighting Yard. If he's able to get past David Benavidez. And if he ain't able to get past David Benavidez, I'm sure he wouldn't mind getting in there with David Benavidez if he wins the fight, man. So I like that he is somewhat starting to take charge of his career and wanting to get in there and mix it up with the who's who in the division, man. Because he should have been fought Bivol years ago, and he just, refused to fight that dude. But I'm excited to see Joshua Buatsi get back in there, man. I think Joshua Buatsi is nice, man. But I like this fight, man. I honestly do. I think I like this fight. I think it's a dope matchup. Well, it depends. It depends. Well, no, I don't think it depends. I think Joshua Buatsi is I don't know. He knows how to deal with movers. Even though he's not necessarily a come forward fighter in that regard, but I think he knows when to take it to a fighter. And we saw that with Willie Hutchinson. Where he's like, man, I'm not about to allow you to, ice skate around the ring. You're gonna have to stand there and plant your feet and do what it is that you do. And when he knows how to take that. He knows how to take that element of a fighter out of a fighter. Even though he's not a fleet-footed fighter, he's a dude who fights at around about mid-range, and he likes to walk you into traps and counters and shit. So I like this fight for him, man. I like this fight, and I like this fight for Zach Parker because it's time for him to get. You was once upon a time, a mandatory, or all fought in the title eliminator, man. It's time for you to get your career back on track. So I like this fight, man. Y'all know I don't sugarcoat shit. Y'all know I'm not no punchline nigga. I ain't none of that. So I'll just come right out. I'm gonna come right out and say it, man. I got Joshua Buatsi fucking Zach Parker up. I honestly do, man. Zach Parker is nice, man. I think he has, good, good physical traits, man. He's good height for the division, rangy, decent power. But I think his bread and butter is in his mobility, man. His bread and butter. Oh no, you're not finna. His bread and butter is in his mobility. But the thing is, he switch hits. And switch hitting has become, very cliche and trendy. Everybody is switch hitting now. Everybody want to switch hit. But the thing is with him, his switch hitting isn't thorough. He can do it, but it's not thorough. And one of his fights, I can't remember the dude's name, Tyrone. There's a German dude named Tyrone. I was tweaking off that when I saw that. But it's a German dude named Tyrone who actually dropped him in the middle of while he was switching. Like, dropped him bad in the middle of switch hit, man. Zach Parker he can switch hit, but it's entirely too predictable to read, man. He switches every time he lets go of a combination. He switches every time he lets go of a combination, man. And when you're in there with somebody who's able to get out of the way of shots, and it's not even combinations that land, he'll just throw a combination, and his brain is so hardwired to switch hit, despite if he lands the shot or not, he's going to switch from orthodox to southpaw. You can't do that in front of somebody like a Joshua Buatsi, who's a damn good counterpuncher. You whip a shot, he slips it, rolls it, gets up, pulls back from it. In that slight second, your brain is already hardwired to switch. So in the midst of you switching, that's going to cost you to get your bells rung. You're off balance. It's like he doesn't have the necessary timing of when to switch. And I don't know who the commentator was, but in that fight where he got dropped, that the commentator is telling him, man, stop switching in the pocket. Stop switching going forward, man. Switch going backwards. And that's 150% on the money. can't sit there and switch in the middle of harm's way like that, Brody. You know, just it is that small window of opportunity that you give the opponent to to capitalize on that, man. And when you're a trained fighter in general, they're gonna pick up on that. So it's that much more hyphenated at a world-class level. And Joshua Buatsi is a world-class fighter. So you can't do that in front of him. That is his most glaring mistake that I see in any mistake that you can think that he has, or a deficiency that you think he has. It's just the overt switch hit. Now, I didn't see his last fight, but his last fight, the fight that he had late last year, his last fight for 2024, he didn't switch it. But even then, that dude had been down. He had only fought one time in like 6 years or some shit like that. So I wasn't able to see the last fight that he fought, and I went and did some film study last night, and I couldn't find the full fight of the dude that he last fought. But he did beat him. But in the fight that I'm talking about, he didn't switch at all. He fought out of the conventional stance, and he went in there and he stopped dude. And it was a good look, but he was a lot more assertive and aggressive. He's a lot more assertive and aggressive out of the conventional stance. He looks to step into his shots. He's looking to close distance as opposed to maintain and dictate distance when he's in a southpaw stance. So I don't know what he looked like in his last fight, man. But the dude, the dude is dope. But I just think when those glaring deficiencies, man. Which and some people, those are normally dope traits to have, the ability to switch hit. Because you can completely throw an opponent off the minute you switch hit, man. But you just can't make it that predictable. This is why Bud is such a thorough switch hitter. This is why this dude is arguably the greatest switch hitter ever. It is it's a lot more. It's a lot more methodical and systemic how he goes about doing it. His approach to it. It's a lot more nuanced, man. It's just a lot more, higher skilled and elevated than that of Zach Parker, these other niggas who switch hit. The only person I could think of that could switch hit like that was Mike Tyson. And that was just because of how ferocious he was. As just if he just so happens to, land in a position where his right foot is, becomes his lead foot, he's able to stay poised and defend himself. To keep your hands at home until he's able to get back in his rightful stance. That's not what Zach Parker does, man. That's not what he does. But when he's out of the southpaw stance, and I'm real, I don't know. At first, I was thinking that he should fight Joshua Buatsi out of the southpaw stance because you have that advantage as the southpaw, the lead foot position, and you have that advantage, man. That opens up a lot of opportunities. That opens up a lot of opportunities, man. If you can restrict that man's movement and get your lead foot to the outside of his lead foot, that opens up you for, circle jabbing. Left hooks the left hook is a lot easier to land when you're fighting when you're fighting a conventional fighter out of the southpaw stance. But I don't know if he should fight him like that. I don't know if he should fight him like that, man. Because I think after he fought Willie Hutchinson, I just think he knows how to break distance. He knows how to go on the hunt for a fighter like that. And Zach Parker, and I think he's a better southpaw than he is a conventional fighter. I think his movement is a lot more fluid. He's quicker on the counters. His defense is good. He just does his approach to to a fight is a lot more methodical in the southpaw stance, man. I like it. He fences better with the back end, the lead hand, but not fences, but he kind of like postulates with with his punches, man. I don't know, man. I just think he's a lot more. It's a lot more subtleties in his game as a southpaw than it is a conventional fighter. But I don't know if he should fight in a conventional stance. I just don't. I think Joshua Buatsi is a dude. He's not no volume puncher. Joshua Buatsi is a dude who likes to stay on the outside. He can be a volume puncher, but his bread and butter is his not his outboxing, but his counter punching. If he can control the pace, he'd much rather fight you at that pace. He'd much rather walk you into traps. He'd much rather fight you at mid-range, mid-distance. He'd much rather do that. So if you could get in his wheelhouse and force him to fight at a pace that he's not accustomed to fighting at or comfortable fighting at, I think that right there would be a better, approach. I think that would increase your chances in winning that fight. But even with you fighting like that, he's fought at that range before. He's fought at that height. He's fought at that fast pace before. Man, he had him and Callum Smith was a potential fight of the year candidate of this year. Callum Smith is on a significantly higher level than Zach Parker. I speak highly of Callum Smith. I think Callum Smith is nice. He fights at a significantly higher level than that of a Zach Parker, man. So I don't know, man. I don't know what approach that Zach Parker should take going into this Joshua Buatsi fight. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Should he use his mobility to his advantage? Should he look to be the front foot dominant fighter and take the fight to a Joshua Buatsi? I don't know, man. I'm really having a hard time figuring out how I think that fight should be approached from a Zach Parker. But I do got Joshua Buatsi winning the fight, man. Joshua Buatsi's biggest deficiency is just how economical he is with his punches, man. But just in front of certain fight, I can't even say in front of certain fighters no more. You dig? Just because he threw heavy leather in there with Callum Smith. He threw heavy leather in there with Callum Smith. In volume, man. Hurt him as well too, man. So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Can we say that anymore? That he doesn't, we know what his bread and butter is, but I don't know, man. I don't see a win with Zach Parker, man. I don't see a win with Zach Parker. What I do know is Zach Parker, if you switch it after every combination, it's going to be a problem. He's going to pick up that and he's going to walk you into something stupid. He's going to walk you into something stupid that you just can't see coming and it's going to hurt you bad. That's just a fact. Zach Parker hasn't been in there on the level of anybody on the level of Joshua Buatsi. He hasn't. So you can't make that mistake. You're going to have to pick a stance and stick to that stance for extended periods of the time. I did like how you looked when you turned into the pressure fighter. I thought that was a dope look for you. You dig, and you looked assertive, but like I said, that was in front of a dude of a certain caliber. That wasn't no goddamn Joshua Buatsi. That wasn't no Buatsi at all. But maybe that is the key to beating someone like a Joshua Buatsi. Maybe. I don't know. Only time will tell. We'll know for sure on Saturday, man. But I got Joshua Buatsi in this matchup. I don't know if it's by knockout. I don't know if it's by decision. I'm gonna say a unanimous decision, 9-3 at the very most, if not a knockout. Zach Parker hasn't even been fighting the college. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with knockout, man. He hasn't fought anybody of any sort of significance since he fought John Ryder. He just hasn't, man. He fought twice last year, and then, he has one under his belt this year, and now you finna go in. And these is with dudes who is not like that. These is with dudes who is not like that. They not like that. They are not like that. So, I think, I'm gonna have to go with Joshua Buatsi by knockout, man, because I just don't see... I don't see him fixing those glaring deficiencies between that fight that he had and now. Give me Joshua Buatsi by knockout, man. Joshua Buatsi by knockout. Good comeback fight. Good step-up fight for Joshua Buatsi. Bad style matchup, though. Bad style matchup. But I like the fact that he is taking charge of his career and going and wanting to mix it up with somebody like a Joshua Buatsi. I think that's dope. So I hope after he loses, he still continues to fight and look for the bigger fights in the division to, establish himself in the division. So shout out to, salute to Zach Parker for taking the fight. I got Joshua Buatsi by knockout. I'm excited for the fight. More excited than the Michaela Mayer versus Mary Spencer fight. I don't know why. I just am, man. But that's how I'm feeling about it, man. I'll tap back in with y'all later. Y'all know what it is with me, man. Deuces.